make this chat a bit more interactive, so it's going to be Zoey and myself. And we're going to talk about our organizing goals. We're going to make it about half an hour, not that long, and then we're going to have real food come out. Sorry, everyone's hungry? I'm hungry. Yeah, Landon's like, please, I'm hungry. But we want to make this a really intimate chat. And I just want to start by talking about organizing and in terms of your organizing goals. So I want to ask everyone to think for a second. When I say, how organized are you, what is the first thing that comes into your head?
No. Not.
Or tell me, Jane.
Okay, tell us how you really feel.
Do we get a bit stressed?
Yes.
Yeah. What's the first thing you think about, though? Do you think about a space? No?
Paperwork.
Paperwork. I think paperwork and digital organization is the new thing in 2020. So we think about paperwork. What else do we think about?
Emails?
Emails. I'm doing an online course on email management in 2020 because that's the biggest question I get is email management. Inbox zero. What else do we think about when I say, are you organized?
My brain.
Closet? Oh, thank you, Ed.
Can I just say my brain in general? Because yoga, I think yoga.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, the speakers are going.
I'm cluttering the oops. I'm cluttering the yoga now. It's okay. So again, when I ask anybody about organizing, usually everybody says to me, oh my God, I need to get more organized. And then you think about that thing. So the reason I ask that is I want everyone, if you have a notebook, to write down the first thing that came to your mind. Maybe you have your phone. The first space, or maybe it's a mental clutter. The first thing when I say, are you organized? What is the area that comes to your mind? Zoe, what's yours?
The closet that is beside my front door that it's not organized.
Here's a space.
Yeah.
Okay. So I really want you to envision that space that I just talked to you about. So envision your area. Envision your paperwork, Kristen. I want everyone to go paperless in 2020, but that's a different story. It's hard for realtors. I know you print everything. But take that space, and I want you to write 5 reasons why you want to get that space or area more organized. 5. It's a lot. It's a long list. 5 reasons why you want to get that place more organized. It could be because you lose time. It looks ugly. You lose things. You don't get back to people. My space used to be photos, digital photos. Ben, you're really writing in your phone. Are you texting or writing your notes? Oh, I love it. I feel like a teacher sometimes. I do teach once a week, so I say, oh, Rando, my student, is back there. So sometimes it's hard to get that out of me. Pay attention. Don't go on your cell phone. Come to class. Don't show up drunk or late. Okay, I think you guys have at least a couple reasons. I want you to put a number 1 beside the number 1 reason or the first priority and rank them number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So jealous of Kristen's coffee over there. I want coffee nowadays.
You want a coffee?
Can I get you one? Yeah, can you give me a coffee? I get the almond milk latte. Sure. Anybody else want coffee? Anybody wants coffee, you can ask them.
I'm here.
Yeah, Kristen is taking over. got your number 1 priority, number 2, number 3, number 4. Now this is pretty important to you, this space that I'm talking about. And I want you to take that and write down 3 ways that you can better organize that space. Because I don't need to tell you what to do. You already know it. But 3 ways that you are going to get that paper organized in 2020. 3 ways that you are going to attack that closet. Those email inboxes, those mudrooms, those entryways. And it might be just spending 10 minutes a day on it. It might be getting an accountability partner. It might be taking an online course on how to organize your digital photos or emails. Or it might be even taking all your paperwork to a scanner and outsourcing it. You got yours?
Yeah, I'm quick with the thumb.
Oh.
Maybe they're not as good as others.
No, everyone's unique. I always say we have the power to organize and be organized. They say at 6 years old is when you actually start developing your habits to be organized or disorganized. When I was 6, I started to organize all my barn cats. They never stayed put. I had 20 cats. So that's when I realized that I was organized, and then I saw the power of it, and I used to help my teachers get organized, and we have it within us. You can also train, if you have kids or your partners or people that, yeah, you can. You can actually choose and train to be disorganized or organized. So that's when at 6 you start to mold those habits. But everybody has the power within them. So of those 3 ways, I want you to highlight and circle the number 1 way, what you're going to do to achieve your goal. What's the number 1 way you're going to help you get to that organizing goal? And I want to just share a couple if you're not too shy or scared. Getting vulnerable about organizing. Maddie?
Mine was digitally decluttering because it overwhelms my brain for sure. Like even just on a day-to-day basis, I feel like I can't keep up to like how much is going on my phone, and then there's the ever-pending fear of my phone like going down and I lose everything and I'm not organized and I don't have it anymore.
Well, it should be on the cloud though, right?
Well, you hope so. So mine is taking 1 hour each week to organize and like download to my computer and try to organize, like you said, photos.
I love that. So can you put in your calendar once a week and put it in pink? You can even invite me and I can be your accountability partner.
How much do I have to pay you? Okay, so
Find an accountability partner for that, but really once a week. And I do this with my finances because in entrepreneurs, we don't want to get behind our receipts. So once a week I have it in my calendar to do my finances. And if I don't do it, it gets, so put that in your calendar and I want you to stick to that this year.
So what do you think, 1 hour per week?
1 hour per week. It might take you more in the beginning to get a system. But you know what? You don't want to be overwhelmed, and you're quite busy as it is. So start with the hour, and put it. But don't not do it.
Right.
If you have a client showing, move it around that day.
Yeah.
But make sure you do it on that day.
Stick to it. Okay.
And it should be fun. Organizing should be fun.
Feels good after you're done.
Have a glass of champagne.
Now you're talking.
Do it at the Pangea coffee shop. But really, organizing your digital files can be fun once you get used to them, right? Okay. Who else wants to share their organizing challenge and the reason and how they're going to tackle it? Oh my God. Thank you so much. Okay. Of course. I was up really early this morning. Who else wants to share? Fernando.
No, I just need to prioritize the things I'm going to do because I have a super big list of stuff that you tell me. So that's the thing I have to focus on is prioritizing everything I do.
So you have too many things going on and you have too many goals and priorities.
And I just don't know what's next.
Daily schedule planning.
And it's Tim Ferriss. I think I gave one to the book. And he always said, before our work week, and he always says you don't have more than 7 priorities is a lot, but you should only have 3 priorities for every single day. And you should focus on only 3. Because if you have more than that, you get overwhelmed. So maybe you can focus in on 3 priorities a day.
I mean, that's gonna be tough. I don't know how to start.
Pardon?
I don't know how to start with that. It's just that there's like things you have to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I have to
But are they tasks or are they priorities? Some of them are tasks, right?
Yes.
Versus a priority. A task is maybe, can those tasks be given to somebody else?
That's
Can
true.
you outsource them? Can you eliminate them? Do you have to do them? Can you pawn them off on somebody?
Opinions.
Yeah. Who else would like to share? I want to hear a couple more before we dig into some Q&A with them.
I can share mine.
Yes. What's your name, sorry?
Lindsay.
Lindsay, okay.
When you were talking about time earlier, I was like, my time is all over the place. I feel like my stuff is pretty organized, but my time is a mess. So I want to organize my time so that I can be more productive, so that I don't forget about important things or dates, like people's birthdays. Set aside time for myself, have more time to connect with people important to me, and time for personal growth. So I'm going to use my diary more because I bought it and I never write anything in it, so I'm going to actually use it. And take some time each morning to set goals for each day, and then when you set about 3 priorities for each day, so I can try and do that.
Good. Writing it down helps so much.
Yeah.
I love writing stuff down. If I put it in my phone, I forget about it. But if I
Right.
write it down, it's like in my head.
Yeah.
And this is a time cube too. So I'm big on time management, and I think time is our most valuable asset, but we waste it. And this is, you can't really see this, but this is in Marie Forleo's new book. Anybody know Marie Forleo? She's it's called Everything is Figure Outable. So she's kind of a business life coach too, but she really talks about time management, especially for entrepreneurs. So she says this is 30 minutes a day on scrolling your Instagram, scrolling your Facebook, can lead up to 22 full-hour work days, where you could have been launching a website, starting a new business. Sorry, just directly taken from the book. It's not so nice in the picture. And then 60 minutes a day following up on news and celebrity gossip. Like, we're in Canada, we have, 5 minutes of news to watch? Not that much, right? Unless we go to the States. But that is 45 full 8-hour work days wasted if you do it every day. And then we could have written a book. We could have, had a study for a new career change, learned a language. And the third one is 90 minutes a day of Netflix. That is, Landon's like, oh my God, don't tell me. If it's your self-care, you can watch TV. I'm not saying don't watch TV.
turn my brain off.
Exactly. No, it's okay. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but just on the time, it is 65 full 8-hour work days if you watch 90 minutes of Netflix a day.
But I gotta have my stories.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to watch it. Self-care is really important, and if that's the way you practice it. But with time, going back to your question, is so important because a lot of us, how many of us check emails when they come in? Realtors are a different case. But they say when you actually check it, or you actually get distracted, it takes 20 minutes to refocus again. So I use these time cubes a lot. I used to use them a lot when I was really distracted. But I used to set it for 30 minutes, so this one doesn't have a battery. But then that light is blinking at you. And for 30 minutes, I only used to do emails. I didn't go on projects, I didn't mark tests, I didn't do anything else. I didn't go to the bathroom or call my friends or do anything. I would just focus on emails. And I got so much more done than when I was doing multiple things. So multitasking isn't actually the best.
Yeah, I do like 10 things at once and I need to stop doing.
Yeah, and
You
honestly,
just lose
once you
track.
start focusing on one thing, you'll get it done in so much faster. So this time cube is really silly. They used to use it in the olden days when we used to cook all day, which none of us want to do anymore. But it's just a simple way. Your phone is not a good time cube because then you check Instagram or check Facebook or your best friend calls you and wants to chat. So if one bit of advice is just get focused on doing those tasks, and it'll be so much easier for you. Yeah, that's my tip. Want to get a couple more in here? Lindsay? No, you were Lindsay.
Yeah.
Beside you is
Megan.
Megan, do you have one?
Yeah, I was going to say my mental clutter feels like it's the craziest part is keeping things organized for when I need to do things, and I mean, I'm kind of redundant with Lindsay's, but I find writing things down and having that visual of getting things out of my brain really helps just even clear things, so I'm like, oh, that's actually not that important anymore. Like, why have I been freaking out about this one small thing that actually doesn't really matter when there's two other things that are very important? So just having that visual so I can see what actually matters, because some things in your brain matter a lot, and then when you get them out, you're like, oh, that's actually not that important right now. Yeah, so just having that
Priority.
kind of the written, as it called, verbal diarrhea, but like writing it out and just scribbling everything on a page.
A little bit of journaling in the mornings.
Yeah, I think doing a daily practice, maybe taking even, I can do 10 minutes, just something, and then hopefully build on that habit, hopefully make it a bit longer every time.
I like that. One more. Anybody else want to share theirs? A lot of mental decluttering, digital decluttering, files, which is a big topic.
Who's kind of the receipts, paperwork kind of thing.
So I really want to do a course on this. Everybody asks me, you ask me too, and it's like a lot of people are asking me about receipt management, right?
Yeah.
It took me a long time when I became an entrepreneur. I researched this for a long time. I wanted to get best solution. And I think I have it now. Is there's lots of different apps on your phone. You take a picture of it, it uploads the vendor already, the quantity, and then I go in once a week on Fridays and I go in and look at them and make notes of who I had lunch with, like what it was for, and then it automatically sends to my QuickBooks, and I don't keep it, and it's backed up on the cloud, and then it never fades. If your accountant needs it, if you get audited, it's right there. But it is so, and you see me, like I take pictures and it goes, and then it's done.
Wow.
That's a huge tip,
Yeah.
and I think everyone should invest in that. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it.
Which
I use Neat, N-E-A-T, but there's Expensify, which is a really big one for Canada too, which links with QuickBooks or Sage 50. Expensify, yeah.
So QuickBooks does have the photo where you can take a photo of it. Is this a different?
QuickBooks, I know they have that now,
Yeah.
and they probably, maybe their app is just as good. But I send mine to QuickBooks and it just automatically sends, and then it gets logged in your receipts and you already pick the categories. And most of the apps already pre-populate what they think they are. Like if it's from Esso, they're like, oh, it goes into fuel. How do I know that?
Right.
But sometimes they get it wrong, so that's why every Friday I go through and I just make little notes. It takes me about 20 minutes, and it keeps you diligent of your receipts, and then it sends to my accounting software. Huge tip for entrepreneurs, because how much time do we spend wasting time on receipts? Yeah.
Or like not filing the property.
And then that's a waste of money,
Yeah.
because we need to, as entrepreneurs, our biggest like tax write-off is why we should exist in Canada as entrepreneurs, right? So, big thing on receipt management. And going into that, yes, Landon?
I was just going to say there's also really good bookkeeping software that I use in my practice, and it's linked to my credit card and my bank account statements. And all I do is, however often you want, you just hit update, and it banks and connects to your bank account, and
Nice.
then auto-populates every expense you've used in those accounts. And all you do is, as you mentioned, you just go through and verify. So it's called Wave. It's free.
Oh yeah, Wave. I've heard about too.
It's
It's
totally free, and it works incredibly well. I just submit that to my accountant at year end, and he asks me a couple questions, and save. I'm a small business. I don't know about other people, but
How many? And you do invoicing on there too?
I don't, but I can.
Okay.
Like I'll do it for side projects, but most of my main invoicing goes directly through the office.
Okay.
But just for my business, because how it works is I work in a medical clinic, so I'm my own business under the umbrella of the clinic. So my own business has its own accounting separate from the brick and mortar structure.
Okay.
So I'm my own business within that structure. So in order for that to be kind of logged properly, I just connected it with my work credit card, my work account. So every dollar in and out is tracked through Wave because you just link it with your accounts, and you don't have to think. And you can still use like your receipt tracker if you want to have specific breakdown. Like you go for lunch, but you know you have a cheap beer or something that technically you shouldn't be adding on there.
I always write off champagne.
But anywho, so you can, it just automatically
Haven't
uploads.
audited
It keeps
yet.
your life super simple, and then you can just add or subtract the items as needed, or you know, it knows that Esso is fuel, or it knows that Husky is fuel, and then if you make consistent payments, it will. I don't work for Wave, by the way. Not at all. I should be. It's free. It's free. Yeah. You should give me more free things. But anyways, it's just super smooth, and check it out, it's free. I don't know, I've had really good success with it over the past 4 years. So.
That's great.
Awesome.
QuickBooks does have all that too, but it's not free.
It's not free.
But if you're already using it,
$30
there's
a
actually a
month,
ton of
Totally.
hidden features
Totally.
that you can use that are all the same as
Yeah,
that. So it's,
which is great.
yeah, it's awesome.
It makes your life a lot simpler.
And one of my quotes, organized, getting organized doesn't have to be complicated, right? So we have to think, a lot of times we think when we have to get organized, it's gonna be so complicated, it takes so much time. It's gonna take time initially, to maybe you need to take even 2 days off and don't do anything else but get organized. I know that might be hard for some people even, but spend that time and then it'll come back to you in the end. One more space that if somebody had a big organizing challenge. What about the men up here? Storage is a big one. Who has a storage locker?
Then Zoe would be like, yeah, but can you minimalize your life? So you don't need so much
I would like you to answer the storage question.
You really can.
You can, yeah.
Any tips
I
for
hold
storage?
For storage? I would say like ask yourself what's in your storage, like when was the last time you used it? Or like how meaningful it is to you. So I mean, I just got a storage locker and it is only really has empty suitcases in it. So I just can't really keep them in my condo. But I know I have some friends who have like boxes of decorations that they haven't touched, things like that sitting in there.
And the storage unit container business is $1 billion business.
I know it's the best business probably ever started.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in consumers in North America. So the container store, storage businesses are massive businesses, and the reason is because we keep shopping and we keep buying. And I love shopping too, but I'm trying to be more intentional and get rid of and donate so they don't use. But a lot of people also ask what's sentimental and what's not sentimental. And the book, I had a really hard time with that because it's different to everybody.
Yes.
And you know, how much sentimental stuff do you have? How much is it? I can't tell you what to keep, what not to keep. But if you have 20 t-shirts from concerts, maybe there's one that is the most important. Or can you hang them up if they're that important, right? So what, if you wouldn't want to place it in your home and show it off, is it really sentimental?
That's a great point. Yeah.
I thought that everything was sentimental to me when I moved out of my place in Vancouver. So I got this storage unit, had all my stuff in storage for 3 years. And then I calculated that it was like around $6,000 that I spent. And then I was like, oh, I really do need to go to that storage and like look at what's in there. And I realized I could have just blown it up, and I did not care about any of the things in it. And yeah, the lesson to take away from that is get rid of it before you store things, because I mean the only thing you really need are photos.
Yeah.
Right. And you can store that on a hard drive or the cloud.
Yeah. The cloud.
I was saying to Lindsay earlier, I was like, I have this like system that I implement in my own house where it's like, sometimes you're just visually attached to things, you know, like you haven't worn a shirt in 2 years, but you're like, oh, but I like the idea of maybe wearing that shirt sometimes. So you're attached to it because you see it every day. I have like a mini storage locker, it's a tote under my bed. And if I don't wear something or use something for a long time, it lives in there, and then after a couple of months, I haven't seen it, I'm not attached to it anymore, and the whole tote gets like donated, and that's how I get rid of it.
Good.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like
That's a great tip.
home storage locker. Yeah.
Good idea.
Visual attachment.
Or maybe take a photo of it.
Yeah, like, take a photo of the shirt that you loved. 5 years later, I'm like, that was good.
Love
times.
it.
Went to a concert, one time with that shirt. Okay.
So what about the gentleman up here? What are your organizing challenges? Ben?
I'm organizing my day, and I'm gonna go back. I used to make a list every morning, and I kind of got out of that habit. So
What's the biggest challenge of organizing your day, and how are you going to change that today?
interruptions is
Time to use, maybe if it's work, if it's blinking,
yeah.
no, and none of your employees can interrupt you.
and then answering the emails as they come in. I should just switch it off and set aside time.
And again, in Tim Ferriss's book, he really talks about emails, and can you outsource even that? Can you get an assistant he only checks the emails once a week, Tim Ferriss.
Wow.
So we think we're so important and we need to be in control over emails, but CEOs don't control their emails. So eventually, is there somebody else who we could be giving a job to, even once a week, to go through them? help people file them properly. There's a lot of people on Upwork who do email management all the time for less than $5 a day. So if you get that many emails, is there some way that they can even help you organize them?
Another question.
Yes.
I've been dabbling with the idea for boundaries around emails, saying, so maybe I block off, 7 to 8 or 8 till 9 in the morning, and that's the only time I email, and then I don't respond till the next day, because I find, of course, as it goes, you get very overwhelmed, and you get home at 9 o'clock at night, and there's a million things. Is that a bad business choice to just have a response where it says, I'll get back to your email in the morning?
Well, in the corporate world, I used to do that. I had, thank you for your email. I check my emails at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. So then people knew. So if you have an office response, it's good. For realtors, I saw these two looking at each other. Your business is based on instant communication. But then again, maybe an assistant eventually could be managing that to get back to you so you're not as interrupted, right?
But I do that too though, because I also got that from the 4-hour work week. So in my email signature, it might say, I only check emails at 2 p.m. or 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. And if you need me right away, or if you need me to get back to you before tomorrow or whatever, you can call me.
Okay.
So a phone call is better if it's more immediate. But it is a tough one because it's hard to emotionally let go of checking them constantly. But once you start doing it, it's actually so lovely.
Because people start learning to respect that boundary as well, and then they don't force
And a lot of people were like, oh my God, that's the best idea. I'm going to do that, right? So it was like they understood it and they took that idea.
Can I just jump in as well? So I struggled with email stuff in my first couple of years of practice because patients are always asking questions. And so I actually initiated that because I can't teach patients about boundaries if I'm not doing it myself. So if anyone, you probably have it when you need emails with me unless you were upworking it. But basically I have an autoresponder that says I'll do my best to get back to you within 3 business days. And I've had that for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I got that from you. I was like, oh, now I know, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it just sets that expectation. There's not this, why hasn't he got back to me in 20 minutes? And email is the new text in the world of business, and that really frustrates me because you're not allowed to step away. You can't be you. Rewind to the Mad Men days, if you wanted to get in touch with someone, you called them, right? And like you said, Maddie, if you need to get in touch with me, call me. I'll gladly take a phone call.
Yeah.
But this demand that we have so consistently on email and digital access to each other, I think is a bit hectic. And it causes this clutter, right? And when we first met, you're like, hey, this is what we're up to. And I thought, boom, I can't tell you how often I talk to patients about boundaries and kind of setting that for you, because if you don't, you end up in this spiral where you can't control your environment. So like the gentleman up here says, prioritizing my day, scheduling my day. It's like, people are so bombarded, and then you're checking emails consistently through your day because you're like, is this important? And sure, I respect in realty that it's not always realistic to set that aside, but for the majority of us, we can't have that buffer. And I personally respect when people do that, because at the end of the day, I always like to put myself in the other person's shoes. So for yourself, if like, hey, Meg, I want to get set up with some personal training, blah, 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 autoresponder, okay, I'll get back to you the next morning. Cool, all right, perfect. I've set the she set the expectation on my end. It's like, okay, fair. Now I know in the future, she's at least a day away before she replies. So I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to pull sorry, I'm old, but not like this instant need of answers. And like, why is no one paying attention to me? And it's like, let's just all pause. We all have our own stuff going on. Sorry, that was really long-winded. But
It's not a bad thing to be. It's not a bad thing to say, oh, it's hard to get a hold of you, but it's just respecting the boundaries. And your employees would never, if you say, I'm working on a project, they would respect that, right?
Sorry. Question. Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask about all the different ways people can contact you too, like people they contact me on my personal Facebook, my business Facebook, my Instagram personal, my business Instagram, my personal, I get I feel like 6 avenues that people message me about business stuff, and sometimes I get lost. Like if someone messages me on Facebook, that's my personal side. I don't think about it from a business side. How do you streamline that, or I just don't know how to.
I still have a tough time because my brand is my business now. I don't know, have you struggled with that too?
Yeah, I do struggle with that. I'd say that's one of my biggest struggles too. And I think just sitting with the guilt of not responding fast or not getting to responses, and I think that's just something.
Or 3 days later, you're like, oh my gosh, someone sent me that, and I forgot.
I think that's be something you streamline though with a online EA,
I do have
EA, because then they filter all your executive assistants. So So you can like get someone in the Philippines who's not expensive to basically consolidate all your messages and then put them in one spot. And you just need to create the system and train them how to do it. And sometimes it takes trial and error to find the right one that works with you. But to me, that would be a really great solution, is just finding a virtual MBA that consolidates all those messages from all those different outlets, and then you just go through it once a week or every 2 days and just answer the ones that you need to, right? Or at the end of your day, that's their job, they consolidate everything and then you just answer it in your email
There'd be
time.
like an app for that or something.
I
There
know.
should be an app for that. That meant something.
I know, I'm like,
But another one of my
my
my business coach in Vancouver, Sunny Lenarduzzi, who I use for YouTube for Bosses, she's like, in business, you need to also pick a platform. You can't be on all platforms and you can't do everything at once. So hers was YouTube. She mastered that, and then now she's on Instagram and she's learning it, and it's kind of her 2 platforms. Mine are, I have a YouTube channel as well, but they're really Instagram and for social platforms. And YouTube. And I do have a virtual assistant called Rona, and I found her through Upwork, through a lot of trial and error, and she has my voice. I let her respond to every Twitter, every Facebook, because I never go on there. All my DMs, everything, because I trust her voice. She makes less spelling mistakes than I do. So it's actually way better. And I pay her $150 a month. And for her, that's a huge salary in the Philippines. And we become friends. If I ever go to the Philippines, I'll meet her. But it's one of those things that I love. Like, I never want to leave that because she has my voice and now she just does it.
How do you find that and connect?
On Upwork.com.
That's on Upwork.
Yeah. And there you can type in literally anything you need a task for, whether it's like whatever it may be, consolidating emails, generating leads, whatever is the best thing. But again, find that platform. We shouldn't be on all platforms. Like, you have an interesting story about Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot here.
Yeah.
About how you found out your book was Audible.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was on, like, I would say YouTube's my favorite platform, my main platform, but I also really like Instagram. I do post on like a Zoey Arielle Facebook page just to publish my videos, but I'm not really active on there, I would say. So I would say YouTube is my main, secondary Instagram. But I had Twitter. I had Twitter at one point, and what happened was upon publishing my first and second book, I asked in the publishing meeting that if these books could be on Audible, if I could be the one to narrate them. And what happened was they said, you know, your book has to sell X amount to be published on Audible and have someone narrate it, but as soon as like we get that note, then you can be the person to narrate it. And so what happened was I was on Twitter one day, which I would rarely check my Twitter anyway. I just wasn't really not a Twitter person, I suppose. I just use it to read articles or see what was going on or read inspirational quotes. And so I was on Twitter one day and somebody had tagged me and said like, oh, I'm so happy to have narrated Zoey Arielle's The Joy of Minimalism book, which is going to be out on Audible tomorrow. And I was like, what? Like, this is my book that I specifically asked if I could narrate it for Audible, because on YouTube I'm always preaching like books like I'm listening to. I'm somebody who just consumes a lot better like that way. So I'm always talking about it. So of course, like my audience asks like, well, okay, Zoey, you're always talking about Audible. Like, is your book going to be on Audible? I said, you know, one day. Like, I asked for it to be. So, you know, I'm setting those intentions. And so I found out on Twitter that my book was being narrated by someone else, and I screenshot it and I sent it to my publisher and I said like, what's this about? How come I wasn't in the loop? And I was quite upset about it, and I just tweeted back and said like, I wish that I could have been the one to narrate my own book. And then I felt bad. I sent a mean tweet out, and then I just was like, okay, I'm gonna shut it down. Shut it down. Nah, so I deleted my Twitter, and that's the end of my Twitter. But yeah,
It's a good lesson that if you have all these mixed platforms, you need to have like, and not monitoring them, things could happen, or things could be like, you know, saying bad things about your practice.
exactly. Yeah,
Because of that, though, you also found out that happened. You might not have known for
You're
a
right.
really long time.
you're right.
So, and like, you were able to set that precedence with your publisher that wasn't acceptable.
Yeah,
Right?
because you're right. I don't suppose I would know if somebody
No.
would tweet me about it or mention it after the fact. So it's a good way to find things out. But normally I would just log on to Twitter once a week or not even. And yeah, I'd say like ask yourself like if you do have a lot of platforms that you're on, like which ones do you actually enjoy being on the most, and then go from there.
And just, I'm going to take that question, but the other important thing my business coach says if we have online businesses is it does not matter how many followers you have. Like, YouTube is owned by Google, so it's a big search engine, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it doesn't matter. It could change tomorrow, the algorithm could change, the platform could die, your email list is your what you own. That email list is your golden nugget for your business. So you always have to drive people there versus, it doesn't matter if you have 100,000 Instagram followers. It really matters on how many people you have on the email list that actually want to hear from you.
I was just curious how you prompt what your virtual assistants say or reply when you're replying to your DMs and Facebook posts on your behalf.
Sorry?
You said you have a virtual assistant
Yeah.
that replies to your stuff on your behalf. How did you train her of what to say? Is
Yeah, it was so funny because I went through. I was actually again on another book I had written, not by Tim Ferriss, but they were all about virtual assistants, and I started to be like, I need one. It's so important. And then I went on Upwork and was like looking for them, and then I tried a couple, and they weren't that good. And then randomly, my parents' business we had a big lawsuit, and I had to take it over, and then I hired somebody in Upwork to go through their email list to gather all the emails, and this girl was so good and responsive. So then I just kind of started working with her, and I was like, wow, this girl, as soon as you have to go through maybe 5 virtual assistants or 10 to get through the good ones, but as soon as you have one that's she was so good, I trusted her, chatted with her on the phone, every task I give her, the next day it'd be done, and then I was like, well, I'm keeping her.
But I'm just curious because you said that she replies to your DMs.
Yeah.
How do you know she's going to reply with something that you would say and not reply something?
Oh, you know what? Then when I asked her to be I was like, can you handle all? And she was like, oh yeah. And then she started learning about it. And then I invited her to my Team Jane calls where she found out about. I said these are my values of Team Jane. For my social media, she kind of read stuff and she was able to. She captures my voice just like me, I'd say. Okay. She watches all my YouTube videos and helps promote them.
Okay, so she's on board with your vision.
She's on board, yeah. And I try to include her all the time. So those monthly touch-ins that I have with my team, I try and make sure to include her.
Okay, that's what I was curious because to hand someone your
it's a big
and trust they're going to reply something appropriate.
Exactly. But really, whenever I go through them, and sometimes. A lot of times I'll get replies back and say, oh, thank you so much, that was a great comment. And then I look and I'm like, oh my God, that was a great comment. Right? I didn't even think of that. Okay, so really, I feel like we have to go and think that our comments are, so many people have ideas, right? And
Let's say you have a nutrition company and you were to say it'd be important that the person
if you have things like that.
That's why I'm just curious, how you can make sure that
they probably need to be quite trained on that.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and maybe a checklist or
You speak about your team for This Is Organized Jane. Could you speak to how you have your company organized and how many people you have?
So I love this discussion because when I first I wasn't Organized Jane for a year now. Before I was just Jane, but I read a lot of books on how to have a virtual team, and you can't do it all yourself. So I started promoting my first book way too late, and I thought, okay, I'm going to hire someone to help with my PR for it. And then she's like, well, you really should have somebody helping you with your social content because it sucks, basically. So then I was like, okay. So I started really going Upwork and finding these people and realizing that as soon as I was able to leverage other people's passions, my business grew. And that was all that I needed to do. And now, I love the people that I have virtually working, my PR girl from LA. She brings me so much PR and ideas, right? So I have to keep her on, and I have to make money so I can keep paying them. So
you found her through Upwork as well?
I found her through Upwork, and she reached out to me because I said I wanted to get more speaking engagements, and she reached out to me and said you should do this X, Y, and Z, and I was like, this girl's smart. It's all virtual, and then social content comes with that, and content creation, and then virtual assistants. So they're all virtual, they're all in contract, but I say this year I'm going to take them on 2020, I want to take them on a retreat so we can all be together, and I want to make money so I can help them grow their business. PR, content creation, a virtual assistant, and I have a graphic designer on standby. In Vancouver, who helped me with my logo and my branding, and who always yells at me when I do something off brand. But really good to kind of keep those. Yeah, that's my team. And again, all I care about is making money, so I can keep them making money because it's so amazing to see everybody else kind of flourish and have their skill set and use that skill set. And I'm not good at spelling, so I don't do my content. I'm not good at or writing and not as nice as other people do. I'm not good at getting PR. I'm not good at things like that. I want to outsource and help other people.
Nice.
Sorry, what were the fourth? You had PR, content creation, and social media. And then who's the fourth person?
The graphic.
Graphic design.
Yeah, she did my logo, all my branding. Whenever I do an event or something, she looks over it and my website changes and things. So branding is really important, I learned.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that. Any other questions? Do you have any questions from Instagram?
Not yet.
Does anybody want to be a part of the video?
No.
What? Well, this is your following, right? Yeah.
We have a lot of people waving.
Oh.
So something I'm struggling with. I have collections of magazines and newspapers within the last 4 years sitting on my floor. I always think I'll go back and pull contacts or, I've been collecting them because of my business, but I never have time to go back and they're just piling up. So they're so old now, maybe it's time to throw them away, but I just don't want to.
An attachment.
Maybe an attachment, but it's totally useless, right? What do you suggest around that, Jane?
I like Leanne's comment, like if it blew up, would you notice it? Or like if you got rid of them, would you notice those papers being gone? Probably not. But if you really, have you ever read them?
I might skim through a few of them, but there's so many, I haven't gone through them all.
Yeah. I'd say the key is, especially like magazines and newspapers, anything paper, because I really want to go paperless, because that's my goal in 2020, is read it. If you think it's something really exciting, take a picture of it, and then you can file it in a folder. Maybe you can file like business or organizing or inspiration, but take a picture and then declutter those. But what's your business?
I'm a marketer and photographer.
Oh, so you want the photos and the things like that in them, right?
I don't need to keep the photos. I can always find more. It's more so, I use a lot of these magazines to find contacts. So maybe someone's, business owner's name might be in there, or I might get an idea for something, or there's an article I want to read.
I have the same thing. With magazines.
Yeah.
I like holding on to magazines. I don't even look for business names. I just hold on to them because I think there might be something valuable.
Yeah, exactly. Something might be good in there one day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with them all.
I said it is nice. I've collected snowboard magazines since like 1994.
Yeah.
And I've kept, this is kind of like bad, but I've kept them in my parents' garage.
Yeah.
And I literally
What's in
have,
my parents'
but I love going through them. But I mean, I only go through them like once every decade.
But you know, if you do love something so much, if you love it this much, and if they're organized by year and date, then I have a hard time saying,
Jane, I think you need to partner up with a psychologist.
I know, I'm getting a bit stressed here. If you have room for them in your house, are they being displayed? Can other people get joy from them? No, then you probably need to declutter those, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And today I think we have Google you can find most contacts on, but it's like, there's a lot of ways to find contacts these days that aren't on print. But again, there is something valuable about, like, my parents have kept National Geographic since 1975. And then last year, when I moved home from Switzerland, I decluttered their home for 2 months. It took. My parents are a little bit of hoarders, opposite. But I went and I organized them all by year, and by like each January, February, they're 12 in each, and they still collect them, and they still like going through them. But now they're in boxes, and they can see them, and they actually do refer to them. So I don't think you should get rid of them if they are bringing you joy. If they're organized so you can read them. If they're in a mess in the garage and you're never going to look at them, what's the point? If they're organized so you're actually going to go back, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah.
But again, if you have 500, are you actually going to be able to go through all those 500? Your business sounds very interesting, though.
Or if you do want to get rid of them, but you just want to have the time to go through them, then the hardest part is just actually putting that time in your calendar to be like,
exactly it. Yeah.
these 2 hours of you go through them, you write out every contact, and then you discard it once you know you've gotten all the value you can from that specific.
You could hire someone to go through every one of those to get contacts.
Oh yeah.
You could hire someone to go through and put it on a digital platform.
My mom would love that.
A lot of people looking for freelance work, not just digital, but hiring people to do all that, help you with paperwork, all of that. One more question before the yoga leaves in 5 minutes. Any questions for Zoe here? Yes.
You guys seem like you're on social media a lot and it's driving your business. Do you have any stories about when something's blown up and you've gone viral, or I'm always interested to find out, has that happened to you and what's the experience been and has it had an effect on your business and professional life?
Yeah, I've had some YouTube videos go a little bit viral. So
how many views?
I think one's close to 2 million right now.
Wow.
Yeah. But what happened was
That's pretty big.
Can you tell me what is it? What's the topic?
That the one that's almost at 2 million, I think it's like Italian words you're saying wrong. It's like a funny one, like something I did not expect would resonate or that much with people. But then I have another video that's like, I think 1.5 or close to another 2 million too, which is on minimalism, and that's the one that had got me the publishing deal and things like that. But it only had a spike after that documentary on Netflix came out called like Minimalism, and so I published a video in like October, November, and that documentary came out somewhere around the end of December, January, around Christmas time. And so like my numbers for that video was like steady kind of rise, and then all of a sudden it just shot up because people were Googling minimalism, and that video was just like what hit the algorithm. And I think it's difficult because like you love it when something that happens, because I actually signed off of YouTube for like a couple of days because it was like over Christmas holidays, and then I signed back on. I'm like, oh my gosh, so many notifications, like thousands and thousands of new subscribers. But then you kind of go to this like comparison game, which is human nature, that like anything that I make or like made going forward, like I hope that it gets to that point. So like I want it to get to that point. And then also it happens on a platform like YouTube is that you reach an audience that isn't your own. So people like might get the suggested video on minimalism, but that might not resonate with them. It's just something that YouTube suggested to them. So then that's when you attract like some not so nice comments in there, and just like I said, an audience that isn't your own. So yeah, there's it's like you want something to go viral, but at the same time, like what happens after that is like you having to just really work on yourself, really in your mindset around your content going forward.
We just got a question on Instagram from Tao Martin. How do you find inspo when working from home? Just started working from home and I'm still getting into the groove.
That's a good question. I like to go to different coffee shops. I like to change my environment up. Yeah. What about you, Jane?
Well, I worked in corporate for so long and I had to be in an office. I just love working from home now because it gives you, it's so much more efficient. I don't waste coffee, like I don't do coffee table chats in the morning with my bosses or employees about the weekend and stuff. Like it's just, I can focus so much more. So for me, working at home is a dream, but I do get out of the house and I still go to the gym, work at coffee shops, and I use a timekeeper.
Yeah.
And how do you separate your work at home from your home at home?
I have a difficult time doing that, to be honest. I think like what Jane said, like having like go to the gym and putting in specific, I don't know, making your schedule what it is, like still sticking to your own schedule, because it's too often like I'm like, I could do the laundry, I could like cook something extra special today, and then like you waste time.
But really minimalizing your office too, no paper. Your office can be from wherever. So I find your office can be, it doesn't have to be a physical office anymore. It can be here or anywhere at your home. Yeah.
Cool.
On the social, go ahead.
One thing that I found, because I work from home like pretty much 75% of the time, is like I wake up, I'll have breakfast, I'll go for a walk, and then come back. And then that's when I start my day. And then I'll do it again. I'll go for a walk and then come back in the evening. That's great. Because otherwise, like, laundry, shower, just not do work.
That fresh air does a lot too.
Yeah.
Going back to your content question too, a lot of us like in lifestyle businesses like ours, before I started Organize Jane, I took a business coach, and she actually gave me a template, which now I give to a lot of my coaching clients. But I planned out my content for an entire year, and now I'm doing my planning for 2020. So a lot of times when videos go viral or things, people have intentionally planned or done their content or spent a lot of time on that post. So it doesn't just happen. I'd say it's usually organized, that themes or like content should be something you're giving value to your audience, not just being like, oh, here's a selfie from the day, right? It should be something that you can provide value to somebody, not just a here's the kind of thing. Yeah. Any other questions from Instagram?
No, but Tal said thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. One last question.
Yeah,
How do
sure.
you deal with naysayers? Because often the more popular you get, there's always people out there that might say things that aren't so kind. Just curious what you do with those comments or those people, or do you find you have any?
I try to like manage my like I delete anything that's really negative or racist or just like uses like inappropriate language.
Okay.
But that's me sifting through that on my own. I feel like I should hire somebody to like manage some things for me. That's for sure, because I can spend a lot of time doing that. But I would say like it does. I would say just checking in with yourself, because if something doesn't sit right with you and you're holding on to like something negative someone said, then you just keep asking those questions of like, why is this affecting me so much, or like how can I improve that within myself so that if somebody says the same comment or says something different, I feel like I did the best that I could.
That's tough. I don't get a lot of bad comments just about what, especially when I write about organizing and everyone's like, oh, let me see your handbag. How organized is it? Or let me see your desk, right? So it's a bit stressful being organized, Jane. Yeah. But I don't get a lot of bad comments yet. But I mean, I have had some bad comments too, but I don't know, I have such an amazing tribe now that always bring you up, and they're the people I care about, not the people on online. And I'm wondering, why do you have time to say bad stuff? You're not managing your time very well.
Yeah, totally.
I really like organising, and I find that there's always more that I can organise, and often it will take away from actually what tips do you have for, like, I'll sit there and I'll just get everything organised, and then before I know it, I spend 3 hours organising and not actually done any work.
Well, I really like you. Let's have coffee. Well, I guess you just have to set a time limit. If something, like anything you do, if you love watching a TV show or whatever it is that you find, you maybe just have to set a timer and say, I'm only going to do this for an hour. I say you can never organize too much, because in the end, like Benjamin Franklin said, I always a 1 minute. For every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. And I think this is the most powerful quote he's ever, I take from him, because it really does bring you more time. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but maybe you should set a timer if it's, you're missing. Is this your boss here?
Yeah.
If he's like missing meetings or something, you can be like, oh, sorry, I was organizing. And on the other time management thing, I heard a good tip the other day. I read Nicole Lapin. I love her books. She's written Boss Bitch and Rich Bitch and Becoming Superwoman. And she had a good quote of being like meetings. There's like a lot of time meetings are useless. If you need to talk to somebody or have a meeting for 7 minutes, schedule it for 7 minutes. Don't schedule it for 30 minutes or an hour, right? So meetings can be really where you need to cut, especially in corporate. We have so many useless meetings, right? Cut them. And I never make meetings usually more than 45 minutes.
How do you say you're engaged in a conversation or a meeting and you know that it needs to be terminated? How do you do that without feeling very rude or coming across rude? Because I have a very hard time. Like for example, in my business, I'm a personal trainer, so like I have that hour for them, but then they just keep talking, and I'm kind of like, I need this time, and I have a really hard time shutting that down.
Maybe time cue.
Maybe time cue.
Or a timer on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, because your time is your money, right? So you need to kind of.
You have to train them to respect that too.
Telling other people.
I was gonna say personal training is such an interesting one, because I feel like people just want to share their lives with you, like you're their counselor.
I know
as well
everything
as
about everyone.
Wow. So it's probably like a counselor where you have to have very clear boundaries about, okay, like this is the end, because otherwise it sucks energy from you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also one of those things, let's say if you did 10 minutes with that person extra, then the next person's late, it continues. And if they were in that position that you're like half an hour late, they would obviously not like that. So what I've done for my meetings and stuff is like, okay, I've got 10 more minutes. And then you give them that time limit, like, hey, we've got 10 more minutes, what do you want to go over? And at that point, it's like, okay, like, this was awesome. And then kind of on to the next person.
You feel less rude at that 10-minute mark. Be like, okay, our 10 minutes is done now, so, okay.
Yeah.
Kind of having
the boundary.
Giving them a warning, they know it's coming to an end. When it ends, they're not shocked.
Yeah, the warning I find is quite good.
And I'm always like, I gotta go, I gotta run, or like, I gotta do this, right? I don't feel rude saying that.
So rude doing that.
Really? All my friends know that I'm like, okay, gotta run, I gotta do this. You know, I just do it. I'm nice 90% of the time, other than the 10% it comes to my time.
Yeah, that's where I struggle. I'm too nice with my time.
Yeah, maybe you need to, that's your boundary you need to work on in 2020.
Yeah. the more you practice it, the easier it becomes.
Yeah.
And like so, like saying I'm saying 10 minutes longer, that type of thing, and then all of a sudden you'll just get used to it.
I learned it the hard way multiple times. I was like, I gotta stop this.
I think probably people expect, like, if you're not being like, okay, it's time, they maybe don't realize that it's time, and then maybe they're just like continuing to chat or whatever, and maybe they want a reminder.
You said you had a business coach. She gave you like tips, like plan content for your other big tips that stood out for you that you can share with your coach.
So I had 2 business coaches. The first one was Think Natalia, and she helped me get over my fear of personal marketing and branding.
Okay.
Her biggest tip was, if you don't share your story, somebody else could be missing out. So you should be helping and sharing, and that's why you should be posting and all this stuff. And then, Sunny Lenarduzzi, I took her YouTube for Bosses course, but I'm going to be taking her in January, her other coaching course. But the one thing that I really stood out for me was it is important to hire a coach. Because sometimes we think it's a failure if we're hiring a coach, or like, back in the day, why do you need a business coach or a life coach? But actually, that's the best thing you can do. So I would say hire a coach. It's an accountability partner. If you're paying for things, you actually do it.
Yeah.
Versus if it's like, it's thousands of dollars sometimes, but you find that money and you stick to it and you actually hit your goals because of it.
You build your own personal momentum, and you tap into your new potentials.
Yeah. So that's my big thing. Hire coaches.
I've got another question on Instagram here from Dan O'Cracy. How do you sort out a cluttered mind, lots of tasks, but feel like there's no time to do it all?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in the beginning here, the mental clutter. So that's the big thing is, your priorities. If you list 3, not 50 a day, but focus on those 3 and use a time cube. Do not multitask. Those are the big things.
One thing my coach taught me is BAMs, badass minimums, is to choose 3 for the day. So like choose 3 things that you have to get done that you'll feel good about if you get completed with, and anything extra you can feel good about it. It's like I'm someone who was telling Jane, like I love to make excessively long to-do lists so that I feel really excellent when I can cross off a lot, but some days I maybe cross off 2 and then I feel discouraged about it. So choose like 3. Say 3 is a good number.
So I see the breath work is not back yet, but that means the good thing is we can get the food first. Don't tell Shannon.
Priorities.
Exactly, priorities. But unless there's any other questions, this is so fun actually. I love doing this chat. Talking about organizing just gets me so excited. But I hope it was useful, and I really want you to look at this list and do the one thing that you know will help you get your organizing goal in order. Whether it's digital declutter in 2020, paper, receipts, closets, storage lockers, whatever it may be. $6,000 is so much money to waste on storage lockers. Thank you for sharing that, because that's like like I said, $1 billion industry, especially in America. How
Did
do we
you move it from your storage into your parents' garage?
I moved it into another storage.
No!
Yeah, and then, but I'm like I'm going through the process right now.
Yeah.
I'm building a cabin.
That's awesome.
And realizing that none of the stuff I saved has the same style as what I'm doing now.
Totally.
So I'm like going through it carefully, and you'll see me on Facebook Marketplace. I'll be getting rid of a lot of stuff in the next little bit, but from now on, I'm kind of trying to only purchase things that mean something to me. I don't want to fill my house with, I need to have this, I need to have this. I'm really trying to keep it
I like that time.
minimal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I lived in Europe for a while. North America, we're just so consumerist. We really need to be buying and filling and shopping, and there's outlets. But over there, you don't do that. You buy quality, and you buy it once.
Yeah.
And that's it. Here we buy it 10 times.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself too. Yeah, quality over quantity.
And then you
Most
appreciate it
important thing
more.
ever. Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap this up because I think the yoga's done and I see the food is going to be ready. So again, have some food. We're going to be, the fireside channel or fireside panel is going to be super exciting. We have lots of great people on it. So come back in about 20 minutes. So eat lots of food before that. And there'll be more food after that too.
DJ's doing breakfast. She'll be
I know the DJ's doing breakfast. Should I? Anybody else know how to DJ?
I